Somebody's trying to get it.
Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Hey, y'all.
We need one more.
One more?
One more.
That's not me.
I must be moved.
Are you here?
I think I'm next to.
That's me.
Ah, we have the basket.
What's up?
Yay, got it.
Look, I'm just gonna done
That new person is not gonna be here.
You mean today?
Good evening, good evening.
How are you?
It's the association. The Paco Chamber for one of those things.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Well, no, I'm not recusing myself now.
Oh, okay.
I'm not recusing myself. Let me ask you.
Which one is this? I can't complain, except that I'm here. I mean, other than that, okay, you know.
How's your son doing? What's he up to this summer? How, your son and what's he up to this summer?
Oh, my son's, they were in Canada.
Oh. Yeah, I know. It's just getting through the capital.
Yeah.
Well, I'm scheduled to go in August too. Yeah, August 2nd, I'm supposed to be flying down there. Okay,
I'm going to
that's
Colombia.
good. You really travel.
And then Nepal, no, not Nepal, where? Then Bhutan.
Jennifer might know.
No,
Another one?
Bhutan is
What I have in there?
India, China, and Nepal. That area. It's the only Buddhist monarchy in the world, and they just opened their borders for
All
the
right,
first
good
time
evening.
in 40 years.
Sorry, it's on. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North Miami Board of Adjustment meeting of June 19, 2019. Oh, that's pretty good. With that being said, we will get started. If we can have a Pledge of Allegiance, if everyone can just stand up. How about Mr. McDermott, would you like to lead us, please? The flag is right there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Amanda, may we have a roll call?
Miss Fleet,
Here.
Mr. McDermott. Present. Miss Arnold,
Here.
Miss Cohen,
Here.
Miss Fenelon.
Here.
We have one.
Thank you. And Mr. Cook, would you go over the announcement, or is it our attorney? Okay.
This is an announcement about the public hearings. Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. The applicant or duly authorized agent for the applicant must be present. If no representative is present, the application will be tabled to the next Board of Adjustment meeting. When the petition is announced, the applicant or his or her agent shall approach the microphone and state his or her name and address for the record.
Bless you.
Any interested party wishing to speak on any item may approach the podium after the board has opened the public hearing. Each party shall approach the microphone and state his or her name and address for the record, and shall address his or her comments to the board. Each party shall speak for not more than 3 minutes in order to provide for order and time for other interested parties to address their concerns and comments to the board.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said, anyone who will be speaking on any of the items tonight needs to take the oath, which will be administered by the attorney.
Sure. If you're speaking to the board, please stand and raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth in these proceedings? I do. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Cook, any amendments to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
All right, with that being said, may I have approval of the minutes of the May 15th?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. McDermott,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Cohen. Okay. All those who agree?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Communications? None. Board members? Okay. With that being said, we have no continued petition, so we'll start with the first item. V-07-19. And excuse me, a variance to Article 4, Division 2, Section 4-203 of Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinance, and that's a variance to allow a setback reduction, 12500 Griffin Boulevard.
Good evening, Madam Chair and chair members, and board members. As was stated, this is a variance request for a deviation to the code to allow a setback change from the required corner setback of 15 feet to 7 feet, 7 inches. The property is located at 12500 Griffin Boulevard. It's approximately 14,000 square feet. It is located in the R2 residential zone district, which is single family. So it's stated here, and it's stated it is a variance. As you see, you have here a picture of the site. The property is located at the corner of 125th, Northeast 125th and Griffin Boulevard. As you can see, all around it is pretty much residentially zoned. To the west, you do have, yes, sir. It's not showing? Okay.
We have it.
But just in case we have,
We have it.
Yeah, we
so
have
we
it.
don't have to delay.
Gentlemen, sir.
Maybe for the audience, but we
For
have
the
it.
audience, they need it. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
There you
We
go.
up, we up. Okay. All right, we'll start from the beginning. Apologies for the video problems there. So as stated, this is a variance for a side setback, specifically for a corner setback for the property at 12500 Griffin Boulevard. The variance as stated is a deviation from the required setback of 15 feet to the requested variance setback of 7 feet, 7 inches. As you can see here, the property is approximately 14,000 square feet. It's located at the corner of Griffin Boulevard and Northeast 125th Street. As you can see here, it is pretty much adjacent to residentially zoned properties, R2 and R6 to the east, and to the west of it immediately, you have a PU, which is a public use for a park. As you can see here, here are the diagrams showing the illustration of the deviation. If you look at the properties, the diagram to your right, this is showing the setback as it is at 15 feet. And to your left, it will show you at the proposed setback of 7 feet, 7 inches. The lines that you indicate going perpendicular is showing the height of the bridge as it relates to the property at 10 feet and a few inches. And you see the setback there at 7.5 feet, 7 feet, 7 inches. Here is a diagram, site plan of the property as it is, with the proposed new addition of approximately 359 square feet. Here is a site picture of the property looking from the east westward, pretty much in the intersection of Griffin and 125th. This is looking from the, I would say, northeast corner on Griffin toward the property. With that in mind, here you have 6 items that you review as it relates to a variance request. The code requires that the applicant needs to fulfill at least 4 of the 6 items to get a favorable approval. As we have here, the first one that we speak of is a special conditions or circumstances exist which are particular to the land, structure, or building involved, and which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same zoning district. In our opinion, as staff and our assessment, we believe this is a yes, particularly to the property as being an irregular lot. As we talked, as you can see with the site plan here, see the design of the lot, irregular in its nature. You have the Biscayne River or the Biscayne Canal, and you have Griffin Boulevard, which brings about an oddly shaped lot. So the second circumstance is number 2, the unusual circumstances or conditions necessitating the variance request are present in the neighborhood and are not unique to the property. So throughout this area, you have properties that are irregularly shaped. Now, as a principle, a irregularly shaped lot is considered to be a hardship in that the development can be challenged by the irregular shape. And that for setbacks, because of the shape of the lot, you know, it may impede on your ability to put your house, and so you need deviations in the setbacks so you can put it there, which are not constraints generally reflected by properties that are rectangularly shaped, which is the traditionally shaped lots in the city. Number 3, that the requested variance maintains the basic intent and purpose of the subject regulations, particularly as it affects the stability and appearance of the city. So, that in mind, I went through an extensive review in my analysis that Amanda and I put together. So in the whole, this is what you have. It's a corner lot. It's adjacent to a street. I would say because of that association, we would like to have an extended setback than the normal traditional setback for side setback, which is 7.5 feet. You would have 15.5 feet. You're adjacent to a street, probably giving the principal structure further setback from the street, just in case whatever may happen, you have room for the deviation. So what is that in mind? So if we deviate from that, we know that traditionally the required setback for R2 zone lots is 7.5 feet. So if we deviate to 7 feet, 7 inches, it will not create a setback that is unique in the city. Uniqueness is because of the location. So there are other mitigating factors associated with this site that we look at. If you look at it, as you're fully aware, you have the bridge there, you have how it is up above the actual house, and you have notable landscaping, as you saw in the pictures that are associated with the site. So even if we were to allow for the setback, let's say you're looking at it in the context of safety, you have a lot of barriers there that still would protect the home that the 15.5 feet may be providing them. So in that nature, we feel that the deviation would not be an issue. Number 4, the literal interpretation of the provisions of the LDRs would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of these LDRs. Now, I say no here with a caveat. No, in the context of this, you can still build on the lot, all right? So on that basic level, you can build. But then, I think it's important to reiterate what we have here. I said, as I stated in my comments, even though the property can be developed without the implementation of the requested variance, it is important to note that the irregular lot configuration is commonly recognized as a development hardship, and that lots are uniquely shaped presents development challenges that impede the full development of the lot that traditional rectangular lots do not offer. So no, but I think it's important to understand that we still have an irregular lot that could have challenges with the development of the site. 5, the variance request is a minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of land, structure, or building. So yes, it is allowing for an addition of approximately 359 square feet. The absence of the variance would prevent the construction of the addition. Number 6, granting the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the LDRs, and such variance will not be injurious to the area involved. So to reiterate to a certain extent, the granting of the 7 feet 7 inches would not be injurious to the area. As we stated before, you have the 15 feet, yes. We know that by the code, traditionally R2 is 7 feet 6 inches. So deviating from 15 to 7 would not be injurious to the city because it's pretty standard throughout the city. That is the setback throughout the city. So hence, the side setback reduction would be in harmonious with the prevailing side setback within the city for single-family zoned areas. With that in mind, we recommend approval of the application as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. And Mr. Marrero, you representing the applicant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, staff, attorneys. Mickey Moreau with the law firm Burke Howardell, Fernandez and Larkin. With me today, my client, Edward Clark, here on behalf of his family, and my colleague, Greg Fontella, who just passed out some photos for you all. I know you have a long night ahead of you, and the weather's not that great. I think Mr. Cook did a fantastic job in entering the application to the record. Happy to answer any other questions you might have, but I do want to make some points. Sure.
I know you said your name. Could you state address?
Sure.
Please, for the record.
Absolutely. Law firm Burke Howardell, Fernandez and Larkin at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida.
Thank you.
So again, Mr. Cook did a fantastic job of going through the criteria and the application. I don't want to repeat everything he said. I want to just highlight some points that I think are important. The photos that Greg just passed out highlight what Mr. Cook already showed you, essentially, that while the property, we're asking for a setback of 7 feet 7 inches. And again, 7 feet 6 inches is the side setback everywhere that's not a corner side facing a street. And that's, again, because when you're closer to the street, you're more impacted by traffic and what goes on in the street. But aside from the fact that the lot is an irregularly shaped, which by definition creates a hardship, we have a unique circumstance here because if you add the bridge handrails, the 5 foot, the 5 foot landscape area, the 2 foot gutter, we have already 7.5 more feet than what's required. So we actually are 15 feet from the street, and we're actually elevated several feet above. The bridge itself is elevated several feet above. So in addition to the size of the lot and the shape of the lot, the fact that these barriers are there, and the pictures show you, you're not going to be able to see this addition because there's so much landscaping. You have the barrier, you have the gutter. It's going to be inconceivable to see. And all that Mr. Clark and his family are asking for is really the addition of 1 bedroom to their home to allow for them to continue to use this home, appropriately. Really, it's right now 15% FAR on the lot, which is well below the maximum that you could have. And with the existing location of the pool and the front setback way more than what's required, and the rear setback way more than what's required, this is really the only place that we can put this addition and reasonably allow the home to grow. So for all the reasons Mr. Cook stated, and I think just general sense of the lot, we would ask that you approve the variance. We're here to answer any questions you may have. Mr. Clark can answer questions, but I think the facts are pretty clear on this one. So again, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. All right. Okay, with that being said, we'll open public hearing. Anyone for or against the item, you may step forward.
Hello, Melton Goodwin, 310 Northeast 126th Street. I live the property from my backyard. I can see that property. And I have, for years, it's been an eyesore. So I commend you for purchasing it. It is an irregular lot. I don't know that that's necessarily the hardship. However, based off of these plans that they're submitting, the addition is not going to be an obstruction or an issue in our neighborhood. Again, I just welcome something done on that lot, and so I hope you approve it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, with that being said, I'll close public hearing and board discussion. Mr. McDermott?
Mickey, the hedges are remaining, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Madam Chair, is it too early to
Make a motion
make
to
a
approve.
motion to approve?
Okay, moved by Mr. McDermott.
Second.
Seconded by Ms.
Done.
Arnold. Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Fleet,
Yes?
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen, Ms. Fenelon. Okay, motion has passed
Awesome.
5-0.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Love it.
So
Painless.
much hedges in that area. So much hedges in that area. Yeah. And a lot of big lizard, too. And a lot of big lizards.
First case down.
Okay. With the next item, V-0819, special exception for childcare center, 13400 Northeast Third Court. And as I stated to our attorney, I may have a conflict because I serve as board of this particular organization. So I'll leave it to the attorney to let me know what do I do. And yeah.
Okay, so I actually don't think you have a conflict, but there's a principle called appearance of a conflict.
Okay.
And in order to avoid unnecessary criticism of the chair, we think it best that she recuse herself and that the item go forward because we do have a quorum and would just count her as part of the quorum for making the meeting
Okay.
and the item to go forward. If there's a problem and a challenge to it, this can be revoted at a meeting where there's a full complement of board members maybe in July or something like that. But at this point, you need to recuse yourself, leave the podium. Somebody else, is there a vice chair?
Yes.
McDermott, who's the vice chair? Cohen?
Ah, Ms. Cohen?
Yeah, you were always. You forgot?
Roll on over.
I'm rolling. I'm rolling.
And there's a form that you need to fill out, appearance of conflict form.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll hang out in the hallway.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As stated, this is a special exception used pursuant to Article 4, Division 2, Section 4-202 of Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Land Development Regulations, to allow a proposed child care center at the property located at 13400 Northeast Third Court in the C1 district. Said special exception to be reviewed under the criteria set forth in Article 3, Division 5, Section 3-504 of the Land Development Regulations. So as stated here, we have a special exception to allow for a child care center. As you can see here, this is an overview of the property. The property is located at the corner of Northeast 3rd Court and Northeast 135th Street. It's the location of where the new Family Dollar store is located. And you have a new commercial building at the rear of the property. As you can see, the property is approximately 50,000 square feet. The Pacific Child Care Center will occupy approximately 6,300 square feet of the building that is at the rear, which is approximately 11,000 square feet, specifically more like 10,812 square feet. As you can see, based on the zoning map, the location of it is located in the C1 zoning district. You have residential to the west of it, to the east, and you have to the west of it, you have C1, and to the south, you have residential zone district. Here's the site plan for the site. As you can see, as I stated, you have the Family Dollars, which is located towards the north of the property, and the commercial building that is along the southern part of the property. Here's the picture of the property. This is looking from 135th at the, I would say, for the property, the northeast corner of the property. This is looking from the north of the property, really on the northwest side of the property. You can see the Family Dollar and more property, parking there. So when you're dealing with the special exception, not unlike the variance request, we have several criteria that we look at that would allow for the approval of the property, of the request that is before us. And number one is the special conditions and circumstances exist, excuse me, I have the wrong thing in front of me, but that's okay, we're moving forward. Is the use listed special exception in the district where the property is located? So what that is asking, does this use require a special exception? Per our code, this use does require a special exception to be allowed within the C1 district. Is there appropriate provisions for access facilities adequate for the estimated traffic, public street, and sidewalks so as to assure the public safety and avoid traffic congestions? So let's go back to the site itself. You can see that it's a large site that is primarily developed. It has access from northwest 35th Street and from northeast 35th Street, 135th Street, and northeast 3rd Court. You have two accesses and ingresses to the property. And you have circulation for parking and traversing throughout the site. So yes, it meets that criteria. Are there adequate parking areas and off-street truck loading spaces for the anticipated number of occupants, employees, patrons, and the layout of the parking is convenient and conducive for safe operation? That it is, with a caveat. So in my analysis, I went through a lot in the analysis about parking. And upon further thinking about what I've said in my analysis, we're looking at the site as it is right now. The site as it is right now is a Family Dollars, and you have a proposed child care center, which specifically has parking requirements that they need to meet for each. For the Family Dollars, because of the size of the building, you would need 30 parking spaces. And the calculation is based on 1 parking space for every 300 square feet. So when they originally did the calculation for this site, it went to DRC, which is Development Review Committee. I'm sure we did an assessment and based on the number, based on strictly being commercial. That's it. So 300 square feet per 1 parking space for every 300 square feet of floor area. What we have here is an introduction of a use that has a greater parking requirement than what it was assessed by at that time, which for the school, it is 1 parking space for every 200 square feet of floor area. So even with that in mind, the property has 66 parking spaces right now. The Family Dollars requires 30. The school requires 31. Now we know, based on the use, that it's going to be very unlikely that they're going to use all 31 of those parking spaces, except maybe they have some kind of special event going on there. In my report, I brought up another caveat based on my site visit, that they have another use at that center, at that commercial building that is pending. Then in my analysis, I went into an analysis contemplating that. And then I thought about it. I said, that's not their burden at this time. What we're dealing with is what is before us and what is right now. They don't even have the owner of the building does not even have a certificate of use for that proposed corn laundromat. So even though they have put in items there to function, this hasn't happened. When they come in, they need to address that issue of parking when they come in. As it stands right now, we have the parking to meet the site. So in that said, I would say they do meet the parking for the site. And we will deal with the other uses that may come forward, and they'll have to meet their parking when they come in. did say a lot about it. Okay. Is there a suitable landscaping or fencing along the lot and rear lot? Yes. You have an existing masonry wall that runs along the southern part of the park of the lot, which is a requirement when you have dissimilar uses. You have a commercial use, to the south we have residential use, so you need to have a wall there. And they have some landscaping at the site as well, so they meet that criteria. Is the proposed special exception reasonable in terms of logic, efficient, and economical extension of the public services and facilities such as public water, sewer, police, and fire protection and transportation? Yes, all basic public services such as water and sewer, police, and fire protection are readily available and provided for the property and meets the applicable service level standards. What will the proposed special exception constitute an appropriate use in the area and will not substantially injure or detract from the use of the surrounding properties or from the character of the neighborhood? So that's a lot there that one could get into in that aspect. So what we have here, you have a C1 zone property. On that surface alone, that's commercial. So the use is allowed through this special exception. So in that aspect, it's an allowed use based on the caveat if you feel that it is appropriate for the area. So what does it bring to the area? You have all the residential use around there, which is families. This is a child care center they have, so it brings something to the area that probably is a needed use for the area. So in that aspect, it's bringing a benefit to the area. So families will not have to travel so far to drop off their kids if needed. So that's a benefit to the area. So when you look at that criteria that it is a use that is allowed through the special exception, it is providing a use that is usable and beneficial to the neighborhood, then we would say that meets that criteria. With that in mind, we recommend approval of the special exception with two conditions. That prior to issuance of any building permit, the applicant must provide a revised site plan showing the drop-off and pickup. Right there in the plan, right now, they're showing a diagram of 18-wheeler going through the site. That really is fine, but we really need specificity as it relates to the proposed use itself. Have a specific drop-off and pickup area for the parents when they are dropping off their kids, and how they will coordinate that with the parents and the staff. So we need that to be provided. And two, prior to issuing of the building permit, we've talked about parking. Number two can be eliminated from it. They meet their parking. They have 31 parking spaces that are available. There's 66 parking spaces on site, 30 required for the Family Dollar, 31 for them. So that gives you an excess of 5 parking spaces on the site as it is. With that in mind, that is my presentation right there. Thank you.
Is anyone going to come up? Can anyone hear me?
I don't think your thing is on.
Oh, no, it's on. It is on. Is anyone going to come up to speak on behalf of the special exception?
Good evening. My name is Nadima Destin, 14500 Northeast 6th Ave, North Miami. I already have a center there. It's a Head Start center, so we are proposing to have the center there. So we'll be more than happy if you guys approve it, because it not only it's a need for the community, but based on the Census Bureau, it's a shortage for the North Miami area because they don't have early Head Start and Head Start center. So the federal government was able to provide us the additional slot so we can have the facility, an additional facility in North Miami. If you have any questions, please ask.
Any questions?
No. I have a question of staff.
Excuse me?
He has a question to staff after
So go ahead.
public hearing.
Is the public hearing over?
Oh,
Yes.
No, we haven't had the public hearing
no,
yet.
we got to
Oh,
do
okay.
public
Okay.
hearing. Does anyone want to come up and you could go? Yes.
Thank
And
you.
Speak about, make a comment, public comment?
So we're officially opening the public hearing
Public,
for
yeah.
comment.
We are officially open.
Okay, I'm going to be the good guy tonight again. Melton Goodwin, 310 Northeast 126th Street. I've been looking for, as she said, this is a service that is not being provided enough in North Miami. I have two adopted daughters that are both, they're 3 months apart, but they're both 3 years old, getting services from Early Steps. And one has autism, one has ADHD, and I cannot find a facility actually that will take them. So this is right down the street from me as well. So that's actually the reason why I came, was to show support of this. Derek has done a great job on the packet and showing the parking. And the pickup and drop off was the only thing that I had questioned too. So I would request that you please pass this special assessment, special exceptions. Yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak? Is public forum now closed?
Yeah.
Still your turn.
Derek, a question.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's on.
Yeah, it's on. Can you, is that okay? Derek? I know that you said you didn't factor in the laundromat that's proposed to go in there. But you know, we have a Wendy's that's coming there, which is gonna have a drive-through. I believe they actually have a lawsuit in place, Jennifer?
It's not a lawsuit, but an appeal of the Board of Adjustments.
Appeal of the Board of Adjustment. So they're gonna have so have you factored in the traffic activity with the drive-through for the Wendy's if it succeeds, or the parking requirements that are gonna be required by a fast food restaurant in that plaza?
So on
Involved
that
in
level, we have stuff. You know, we went to the special exception
Right,
line
right.
for the drive-through, which was denied at this
Right.
board.
At this board, right?
Yes. But doing our analysis, we did have a traffic study done, and they are going to the Development Review Committee. They are in that process, but has been delayed based on the outcome of the appeal. And part of our review at Development Review Committee is for parking. They meet the number of parking. Matter of fact, they exceeded for the Wendy's. So in my back of my mind, when I was thinking about this site as a whole, and specifically the pending corn laundromat, I would say all together, Wendy's will have too many. You'll have 5 extra, and they'll probably have room to accommodate the corn operation because of the excess of parking that Wendy's will have. And for traffic, you know, that was one of the big issues that y'all discussed during the meeting related to the drive-through. We see where that falls at City Council, and and we'll discuss it again at Development Review when we do our analysis there.
Okay. Madam Chairwoman?
Do you have a question?
you have a question?
actually have a question, I guess, for Ms. Monistan. Yes. Okay. Can you come up? So we talked about, I know you were speaking about the pickup and the drop-offs. Have you addressed those? Have you had any thought about what we're gonna do in terms of the pickup and drop-off?
Yes, we are working on the plan to have a design drop-off area and pickup, because most of our children basically are being transported by private transportation. And the timing of pickup and drop-off is from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning. And then pickup is between 2:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. So we're gonna assign designated area for the pickup and drop-off and drive-through.
Where would that be?
I don't have the plan in front of me, so it will be in the front of the building, right in front of the entrance of the where the children gonna enter into the center.
So taking up the parking spaces?
Taking up back. Basically, if we're gonna put cones, and then there's just drop off, the children come in because it's a bus that drop them, so they're gonna drop off and then they go in and then pick up. Somebody will be assigned to pick to bring them to the bus and take them back to the bus. And a lot of the children go to therapy, and they have the program because they go to Dade County Public School for a special plan. So it's a lot of, just drop off and pick up more by the bus.
I have
Yes.
a question. Are you finished?
I'm finished.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
The proposed Wendy's with the drive-through, just seems very incongruous in regards to having children picked up and dropped off. It just seems like a very dangerous situation that's going to develop. People don't look, they eat their fries, they're looking down, they're going to kill someone. I mean, I've seen it without a school being right near there. Is there some precaution or there's something that is going to be developed so that they stay in their lane?
So, Madam Chair, if I may,
We are
if,
located
if
in
we
the
can
right
go
side.
back to the site plan here. So if you look at to your east, to the right, is that grayish
Cook, you're
area
talking
where
about
the Wendy's,
Exhibit C, right?
where the Wendy's would be located
Right.
To the far
on
left.
the site plan. So the school is really going to be located west of that when you're talking about the entrance. So I'm thinking it really won't be a conflict when it comes to the pickup and drop off, specifically more so on the pickup, on the drop off
Yeah,
area at the
time
time of the
frame.
morning that they'll be coming in. Depending on when they even, I said they leave at 3 o'clock or so in the afternoon. In my past life, I was a manager at a Wendy's, and at that time, it's pretty a dead time in the restaurant. I don't know how it would be here. So it would be, shouldn't be a conflict. But to your point, and that's why we said in our condition that they would need to provide us with a diagram and with a narrative on how they would deal with their drop-off and pickup times. So to mitigate what may be, to your concern, conflicts either with the Family Dollars or with the Wendy's because of the traffic that it may be may cause coming in, and it'd be incumbent upon them that like she talked about cones being out there, which I find to be a smart addition. I think it's important to reiterate, even though they have 31 parking spaces that are required for the site, it's very unlikely that they'll utilize that many parking spaces dealing with the number of staff, and the people who are coming to the site are really just being dropped off, say, by the bus. So it would allot them room where they can cone off several parking spaces, take it out of the right-of-way area where the cars traverse and the kids can drop off and be picked up without having to worry about traffic or crossing into traffic or going across traffic because of the way the bus would be there for them to be picked up.
Also, we only have 8 staff members that's going to be at the site. So within the 31 parking, plus we have a custodial that is outside that monitor the traffic and ensure, along with the teachers dropping the children outside, to ensure that the transition is well taken care of, because we always have a staff outside, custodial outside monitoring the
So like a
parking
guard?
area, along with the teachers escorting the children.
Natty,
Yes.
do you expect a full complement of 80 kids? That's a lot of kids in that square footage.
I'm not too sure because it's basically the county had offered us the additional slot,
Right.
but since the the requirement for the center is more than 80 children, so we just put the amount. But DCF gonna determine the amount of children
Per
based on the
space.
square footage per
Space.
child, which is 35 square footage per child.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Madam Chair, can I make a motion to approve? Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the
Make the
application.
motion.
And I'll second it
Thank you.
With the conditions?
Motion has passed.
with the conditions.
With the
Conditions,
conditions.
yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Fenelon.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed, 4-0.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, Natty.
Good luck.
Next.
You talk loud enough. Can I tell you?
Yeah, we don't.
Especially if the
Out of
federal
town.
is saying, hey, here's money. We done?
Passed.
Okay. All right, we'll move on.
I'm only concerned.
Hang on. Let me find the next one. All right.
Good idea.
Okay. The next case, V-09-1 19, special exception for private school, 2225 Northeast 125th Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As stated, this is a special exception used pursuant to Article 4, Division 2, Section 4-202 of Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Land Development Regulations, to allow a proposed private educational facility at the property located at 2225 Northeast 121st Street in the R1 district. Said special exception to be reviewed under the criteria set forth in Article 3, Division 5, Section 3-504 of the Land Development Regulations. As you can see here, this is the thing up? Okay. This is stated a private school. It's located at 2225 Northeast 121st Street. It's on a property of approximately 50,000 square feet. The private school itself is going to occupy approximately 1,021 square feet for classroom, 200 square feet for office space. And it will have a play area of approximately 15,600 square feet. As you can see, based on the area, it is all residential located around the site. So this is the site plan, and what you have on your right side is the existing synagogue, and they will occupy 2 assembly rooms within the synagogue to be transformed into an educational use, specifically for elementary, 1st and 2nd grade. They will house approximately 32 students total, 16 per class. On your left, north left, if you will say, the northwest corner of the property, this is the designated play area for the site. This is also will serve as a parking area for the site as well when not in use. As you can see to the south on the site plan, you have the drop-off area that will serve the school, and also an existing school that is to the east of the site. And that existing school has a parking area of approximately 39 parking spaces, so they are covered. As you can see here, this is more clearly an aerial of the site per Google. You see, as I stated, to the east, you see where the red dot is located. That is the existing school that is on the site. You have the synagogue building that is to the center at the center of the property, right there where the school would be located, and you see the parking area. That parking area that is located to the northwest will serve 2 purposes: parking and for recreational use when the school is in session during their playtime. You can see this is a picture from Northeast 121st Street of the site, the school building to your east, the right side, and you have the synagogue there in the middle. Right here, this is from, I believe this is 122nd Street that they have this picture from, and as you can see, you have a basketball goal right there where they would have play. What they intend to do is to put out row basketball goals out there, or bring out soccer goal so the children may play in that area and run around. So, as it was with the special assessment we just dealt with, we have several criteria that we review in regards to whether we will approve a special exception, which are as follows. Is the use as listed special exception in this district where the property is located? Yes. Per the land development regulations, to allow for an elementary school within the R1 zone district, you require a special exception. Is there appropriate provision for access facilities adequate for the estimated traffic from public streets and sidewalks so as to assure the public safety and to avoid traffic congestion? So to go back to the overview, as you can see, they already have a designated drop-off area, which is right off of the right-of-way of 121st Street to help and is large enough to allow for queuing of vehicles to help mitigate any spillage into the right-of-way, which is essential in this area. That's a very narrow two-lane road there. You really couldn't afford to have any cars out in the middle of that street. It would, even though it was pretty dead when I was over there, it could cause a trouble. And you know how it is when you're in a neighborhood, any little bit when the school, you don't get complaints. So they would need to avoid that from taking place at all costs. And I believe they have the adequate makeup on the property to help mitigate and prevent that from taking place. Are there adequate parking areas and off-street for off-street trucks and spaces, and to anticipate the number of occupants, employees, patrons, and layout of the parking is convenient and conducive for safe operation? So as you can see from the picture, you have numerous parking available for this, and just to get in it for the site. So my analysis that I have here is wrong. I used the wrong numbers, 7,100 square feet. The actual square footage of the building is, for the actual classroom area, as I stated earlier, is 1,021 square feet. That requires 5 parking spaces. You have the office area, which is 1 parking space for every 300 square feet. It's 200 square feet, so that's another parking space. So they need 6 parking spaces for the use that they are proposing. As you can see, you have 11 parking spaces in the drop-off area, and to the west of it, you have 25 parking spaces, less the handicap parking at that location. So they have plenty of parking available, and not to speak of the overflow area that would also serve as the playground area. So they have adequate parking for the site. Is there a suitable landscaping or fencing along the lot, the rear, and adjacent residential? It's fencing all around the property. It's totally enclosed. Actually, it's a controlled access property, as you may be aware of it, especially off of 120 First Street is controlled access. The other side on 122nd, it is locked, so you have to have a key to be able to get through. Is the proposed special exception reasonable in terms of logical, efficient, and economical extension of public services, facilities, water, sewer, police, fire protection? So, yes, you're going into an existing site, so all those services are already readily available at that location. The introduction of the school will not have any impact on that, nominal. Will the proposed special exception constitute an appropriate use in the area and will not substantially injure or detract from the surrounding property or from the character of the neighborhood? So, as you heard expressed with the previous application, and is in similar nature here, you have a school that's going to be introduced into a neighborhood that has plenty of kids, I'm sure, at age first and second grade, so it would be a vital service for the community to be able to walk or just drop off on their way to work. So it's going to be an attribute. I would not see that this would be injurious to the area or have any detractors. You just be mindful, as we spoke of earlier, dealing with the traffic, and I believe they have adequate facilities to avoid any traffic concerns. So with that in mind, I recommend approval of the plan as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. And is the applicant here?
Good evening, everyone.
Hey. Good evening.
My name's Eric Stein. I'm the attorney for the applicant. My address is 1820 Northeast 163rd Street, North Miami Beach. Zoning manager Cook set this out very clearly and nicely. I would just add, although I think he made that clear, there's really no change in the footprint to the property. It's at Beth Moshe Congregation, which you all know is a landmark to the city of North Miami. And it already has an educational facility and component to it. So, you know, our idea is to get in there, to take that small space, that 1,021 square feet, and to proceed and make the community better. It's already great, but make it even better. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Public hearings open. Anyone for or against? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, public hearing's closed. Board discussion?
I'd just like to say that Beth Moshe not only has a great reputation, but has really been a great asset to this community over many, many years. And I know they have a very, very fine educational program currently. And, you know, this is, you know, sometimes things come before you and you go, this is a no-brainer. You know, I think this is one of those no-brainers. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful application, and I'd like to move that we approve the
agree.
application.
100% agree.
Okay, is that your second?
That's my second.
Okay, and I agree, and I know of the facility. I used to do, I shouldn't say it, but I used to do, you know, interaction with that, with them. So I know usually with institution like this, they're feeding off from their preschoolers, and that made sense. And a lot of places are doing it these days because they're already dealing with the preschool, so why not continue with first and second grade? You know, so we have a motion made by Mr. McDermott, seconded by Ms. Arnold. Roll call, you?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Fleet,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fenelon.
Yes.
All right, motion approved, 5-0.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Continue the great work.
This case we saw.
We got
All right. Next case, our last case? Is it? I don't know. V-10-19, special exception for drive-through 12995 Biscayne Boulevard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As stated,
One more.
it's a special exception used pursuant to Article 5, Division 1, Section 5-101 of Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Land Development Regulations, to allow a proposed drive-through facility at the property located at 12995 Biscayne Boulevard in the C-2BE district. Said special exception to be reviewed under the criteria set forth in Article 3, Division 5, Section 3-504 of the Land Development Regulations. So what we have here, as stated, at Biscayne, at the corner of Biscayne and Astera Lane, is an existing gas station that will be demolished and made into a SunTrust Bank at that location. The property is approximately 29,000 square feet. You have the existing gas station, as I stated. As you have the, it's located around it, of course, you have commercial uses all along Biscayne Boulevard, and then when you go west, you have the residential use that you're fully aware of that neighborhood there. And across the street also, you have, to the west, commercial. So this is the site plan, as you will see it right here. You have the bank that will be located on the north side of the property, and you see the drive-through facility, which will be located on the south side of the property, and the parking area that they will have to service the use. Here are renderings of the proposed bank. This is looking from Biscayne Boulevard, looking kind of from the southwest corner on Biscayne Boulevard. This is looking again from Biscayne Boulevard, with the rendering. This is looking from the northwest of the on Biscayne Boulevard, kind of in the center of the street. If you would be standing, being hit by cars.
Let's hope not.
So this is kind of at the rear. You know, you have the service street that separates the property from the residential use right there. So that's looking from the east westward on the property and how it would look. So as was stated earlier with the other two special exceptions, we have several criteria that we review as means to determine if this use should be allowed at this location. The first one, as we know, is the use listed a special exception in this district? Yes. To be allowed for the drive-through within this district, you would need to have a special exception in the C2BE. Is there appropriate provisions for access facilities adequate for the estimated traffic and public streets and sidewalks so as to ensure that public safety and to avoid traffic congestion? I'll go back to the site plan. As you saw there, you have ingress and egress off Astera, and you have ingress and egress off of the service road that runs behind it. So you don't have any intrusion off of Biscayne Boulevard, which is good. And you see how it circulates within the property that help to ensure that you will not have any backup into the right-of-way. Are there adequate parking areas, off-streets, truck loadings? So again, as I was stated, dealing with the circulation is good. The services that it was provided, you had a gas station, you're going to a bank, it'd be more specific to the previous use. The bank use is less intensive than the gas station use. I'm sure it would not require more services to be provided for the bank than it is for the gas station, such as water, sewer, and things to that effect. And as I was talking about previous, this one dealing with the circulation, the parking, that you see the layout, that they meet that so to avoid any troubles with it in conflicting with the right-of-way. Is there suitable landscaping or fencing along the lot and rear of the lot line adjacent to the residential or the zoning? So they have a landscaping plan that they will introduce, and this item will require going to the development review committee. So we would even have more scrutiny of the landscaping of the driving aisles and how the traffic would flow into it. We know that to the east of it you have a residential area, but also you know there's also an existing wall there against that residential area. So you have the buffering that is required, even though it's not on the applicant's site itself. They already have a buffering there because of the nature of the site. They will need to put some landscaping along the rear, notice it, a hedge, something to help mitigate the impact to the area. But you know it's a service street that runs behind that. Is the proposed special exception reasonable in terms of logical, efficient, and economical extension of public services and facilities such as water, sewer, and things like that? So I talked about that earlier, and of course it does. It's not an issue there. Would the proposed special exception constitute an appropriate use in the area and will not substantially injure or detract from the use of the surrounding properties or from the character of the neighborhood? Well, you know, character of the neighborhood primarily is commercial around there. So, you know, a bank opposed to a gas station, you know, it's all, you know, relative in how one may look at it. If there's more of a beneficial use than a gas station, both of them have their services. It wouldn't be a detriment to the area. It would not detract or be injurious, so we wouldn't have a problem with it. So with that in mind, we recommend approval of the special exception with this condition, that the proposed new bank is required development review committee review, which it does, and at that stage we will review it for all aspects, from civic to the design to the landscaping and to traffic at that level. After that review, we'll be allowed to go forward to, would this require city commission for the size of it? I don't think so. If it's more than 20,000 square feet, it would require a city commission. If not, then it would go directly to, allowed to go to building permitting. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. And one question, Mr. Cook. Will they have 1 year to do this if they're given the approval?
It is a 1-year time frame to pull building permits.
To
And
pull
they-
permits?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm just thinking, going from gas station to bank, so you have to do something about those
Yes.
gas
Yes,
thingamajig
yes.
down there. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. With that said, is the applicant here?
Yes, we are.
All
Good
right.
evening.
Good
Jason-
evening.
Jason James, I'm with CPH Incorporated. Address is 1992 Southwest First Street, Miami, Florida, 33135. And I am here on behalf of the engineers of record. We are the civil design firm that's on it. I also am joined here with the architects of record from Ginsler and also represented from SunTrust Bank. So, awesome job, obviously, to our community planning department, and Mr. Cook. I think he summarized everything very well. There are some elements that I do want to just speak to now. I know the board, we're only focusing on the allowance of the drive-through, but since landscaping and the tanks got brought up, I have answers for those. So the plan that we do have in place that DRC will be seeing, it is heavily landscaped on that side, buffering in between the residents and the commercial property. I counted here around 101 hedges and about 12 native shade trees. So I think that's more than enough along that side, including the wall, where you probably couldn't even see that nice landscaping from. But we do have that, and also there's actually work right now being done with DERM, the Department of Environmental Regulation Management or Resources Management with the county. They are the ones who are in charge of remediating sites and things like that. Right now, they are working with the owner. The applicant is working with the owner, and there are responsibilities that must happen prior to any of this taking forward. But yes, that is definitely being resolved as part of the plan. And as per our letter of intent, the goal is to start construction by summer 2020. So we're hoping to have enough time to go ahead and do all that land remediation, get all our approvals in place, get our building permit, and be ready to construct at that time. So if there's any other questions specific to whatever information is presented in the packet, please let me know, and I'll do my best to answer.
I have a question.
You have a question?
Is there going to be access into the property from 18th Avenue?
No, ma'am. There's
No,
not.
no.
No. We're actually, we're not. I was actually going to say, overall, we're actually reducing the amount of access to the site itself, especially from Biscayne, which is better overall for the traffic in the area. But there's nothing being proposed off of 18th.
Is there, it's a horrible street. People,
Yeah, well-
they don't stop at that corner to begin with. Is there going to be a traffic study or anything done?
Yeah, part of our submittal requirements to DRC is to provide a traffic impact analysis or statement, and that was provided. Another element that's actually more, I would say, intense than that is actually that we have to go through the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, in the state. Even though we're reducing the amount of driveway connections from their road, they still ask us to go through the process and go through the whole permitting process with that. And part of their requirements are also for them to analyze the traffic impact, internal and external, to the site.
Okay. All right. With that being said, it's an echo. I'll open public hearing. Anyone for or against? You could come up to the mic. Okay. Then I'll close public hearing. And any more board discussion?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept with the conditions. Unless you have something.
I second.
Moved by Ms. Arnold and seconded by Mr. McDermott. Roll call, please.
Ms. Fleet,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fenelon.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Can't wait to
I'm
see
happy
the
they're
flag.
closing off, I know.
All right, just one.
I believe. Welcome to North Miami.
All
Today's a good day. Good night. Great cases.
right, the next case, I think, is it our last?
It is our last.
Okay, V-11-19,
Good work.
variance to allow setback reduction at 1830 Northeast 144th Street. Yeah, there's a bunch of things with it. Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As stated, this is a variance to Article 4, Division 2, Section 4-203 of the Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami's Code of Ordinances, Land Development Regulations, to allow a reduction from the required side setback of 15 feet to a proposed setback of 5 feet on the property located at 1830 Northeast 144th Street in the M1 district. Said variance is to be reviewed under the criteria set forth in Article 3, Division 6, Section 3-606 of the Land Development Regulations. So as stated, this is located at 1830 Northeast 144th Street. The property is approximately 25,000 square feet. The proposed project is for an office building of approximately 8,900 square feet. The lot also already has a warehouse on the building, on the lot, excuse me, at this time. At one point in, in 2016, this property came before this board to get this deviation in the side setback, which was granted by the board. And what transpired, as you may have read in history, is that to what Madam Chair spoke of in the last application about you have a time limit that you need to execute a building permit or your approval expires. And they did not do that, thus we are back before you again to ask for the same request of this side setback. So as you can see, the neighborhood characteristic, you have M1 industrial all around it because this is an industrial area of the city. Right here is the site plan. You have to your, is this to the east? Is this property running north-south or east-west? That is the north, so it's east-west. So on the east side of the property, you have the existing warehouse on the property. And on the west side, they have proposed an office building to be a part of the site. As you can see, you have parking there, and you have the access. You have two frontages. You have the street on the east side is 144th, and on the west side, I can't remember what that street is, but I state what it is. 143. So as you can see right here, this is an aerial with the rendering of the proposed building. You can see that building on your far side there. Closer, see the new building, how it would look. This is looking from the east, looking westward. And this is looking, you have two from 143rd Street perspectives of the building that they are proposing. As you saw in the previous speech, they're also going to have what we would call a sustainable component to the building, having a green roof as part of that area. As you can see, you know, not the bias, it's an elegant looking building. It will look very nice in the area. It's
Very nice.
It's going to look out of place, right? It's going to make the, so people have to bring their game up, if I may say, in future development with this. So with that in mind, as we stated earlier with the first item we had on the docket, it was a variance. You have 6 criteria that we review as it relates to a variance, and of that, you need to have 4 of them that you need to meet to get a favorable recommendation in mind. So, looking at this site, you have this, special conditions and circumstances exist which are particular to the land, the structure, or the building involved, and which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same zoning district. No. So the land, the structure, there is no special conditions there, so we are where we are. Number 2, the unusual circumstances or conditions necessitate the variance request are present in the neighborhood and are not unique to the property. No, in that aspect, it's not. it is what it is, but we have some circumstances to talk about. Number 3, that the requested variance maintains the basic intent and purpose of the subject regulations, particularly as it affects the stability and appearance of the city. Yes. So how so is that is? As we have in our analysis, the property is zoned M1. The future land use designation is industrial. Both zoning and the land use designation permits the development of an office use. The proposed addition or the proposed building does not deviate from that allowed use by adding an office along with the warehouse. And so it wouldn't disrupt the stability of the area, it wouldn't have an adverse impact in that capacity or the appearance. The literal interpretation of the provision of these LDRs would deprive the applicant of rightly commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of the LDR. Yes. So how so? Given the neighborhood existing configuration and context, the applicant request is consistent with the built environment and does not deviate from the precedents established within the surrounding area. So why would I say that? As I stated in my thing, you look at the area as it is. No one has a 15-foot side setback. You either have zero or less than 15 or 0 lot line on the side setbacks throughout the area. So this deviation would not be out of character with the area as it is. So it would be in line with what is present there. 5, the variance request is a minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land. So we say yes, the approval of the requested variance will maintain the current setback. So what is the current setback? The current warehouse setback is just 5 feet on the site. So he's continuing that. And as I've already established, based on what is the character of the neighborhood is less than 15 feet. So it wouldn't be out of character with what's going on there. And it would allow for the development of what they would desire to do there. You've seen the pictures. They have a proposing a very nice building there. The granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the LDRs, and such variance will not be injurious to the area involved. As I've stated earlier, and I'll reiterate with this, yes, even though the proposed offer encroaches into the minimum required setback and intrudes into an intrusion could be construed as contrary to the LDR's intent and purpose. The proposed office building will coincide with the predetermined side setback of the site by matching the existing warehouse setback of 5 feet. And more important, it'll be in line with the neighborhood context. And I think that's really the important element of it, that it is in line with the neighborhood context. You would not be creating something that would cause a new president, and you have an influx of new requests in the area. Because everybody, from my observation out there, 0 setback on that. So with that in mind, we recommend approval of the request as put forth. My only condition I would have to put in it, I failed to put it in, this would require, I believe, DRC review for to go before the Development Review Committee. Other than that, thank you.
I have a question. Is it, in your presentation, which was finally done, thank you, you mentioned it's a 3-story building, but is it actually 3 stories or 2 stories? Because I see in the materials, it says a 2-story building, and then, but your summary is saying 2-story.
Yeah, but the
parking,
I think the parking.
Yeah, the parking.
Well, don't forget the roof.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The parking.
And-
Parking.
Yeah.
The
And don't
building,
forget
the
the
parking's
roof.
elevated, yeah.
So, as Mr. Held brought forth, is you have the active roof deck area. Technically, that acts as
Right.
a floor
Okay.
itself.
Okay, just wanted to be clear.
All right, thank you. Applicant, anything to add? You're welcome to come to the mic. Good evening. Name and
Glad I was
address.
last.
My name is Josephine Almanla. I live at 1850 Alamanda Drive in North Miami, 33181. Basically, the reason that we did not go forward the last time we were approved, we had a change of heart. We were originally going to do a warehouse, and our architect, Martin Littman, designed this beautiful building, and we changed our mind. So hopefully, with what Mr. Cook presented, that the variance was already approved before, and it's consistent with the neighborhood, and hopefully you'll approve that for us and let us put up our beautiful building.
Okay. All right. With that being said, anyone for or against? I'll open public hearing.
He's back.
He's gonna be our favorite. He's our fave for the day. He'll be our sixth member.
Exactly. I just wanted to say that, maybe it was for the good, for the best, that you didn't move forward in 2016. We've seen a lot of changes in the city, and this building would be spectacular, and that area has so much potential. So I'm really asking that you please approve this for them, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And maybe renting an office space for me.
All right. Got your,
All right.
your
Get
first
his card.
rental.
Okay, with
First
that
tenant,
said,
First tenant, right?
I'll close public hearing. Any board discussion? No?
Madam Chair,
That was a good change of heart.
move to approve.
Move to approve by Mr.
Second.
McDermott. Oh, you guys are
I
on
know,
the
we're
ball
team
tonight.
today.
All right.
Amanda,
Second-
keep me on this side.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Ms. Fleet,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fenelon.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Good luck.
Congrats.
Yay.
Please
I'm
build
pretty
this
sure you
side.
know all the, you see,
The cards.
all the great stuff that's happening with Solomia. So
Yeah.
they'll be right
Yeah,
along the
that's
line.
right.
It's gonna be pretty nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
And Derek,
Please-
thanks
please
for,
no delays in the
Awesome.
building.
thanks for an evening of great work.
This was really
So,
good.
let me
This was
see.
painless.
No, wait a minute. I gotta read through this.
Oh,
I'm supposed to.
okay.
That's right.
Okay, let's go. Old business? New business? Okay, then adjournment?
And I'll second.
Moved by Ms. Cohen and seconded by Ms. Fenelon. Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right. Any opposed?
This was a
You're not.
night. This was a great night.